Welcome back to another episode of the Free VST Plugin Detective, where I review, test out, and demonstrate various free VSTs. This plugin is unbelievable. This is the Acoustic Guitar M2 Lite. My rating, right off the bat, is a 5+ out of 5. One of the few plugins that I truly give a 5+ to. And you'd be curious, like, okay, Mark, what do you mean by 5+? Now, obviously, I rate my plugins 0 to 5. 0 being pretty bad or the worst, right? No negative ratings yet. I don't think I've gotten like a -1 out of 5, but you never know. And then 5 out of 5 is a perfect rating. However, there are some plugins that are so good that I say, how is this free? How is this plugin that unbelievably good? Where it makes me ask myself, okay, how do they not charge money for this, right? This is one of those few plugins. This obviously is an acoustic guitar plugin, and it is truly ridiculous. You know, now before I get into it, obviously this is the GUI, as you can see right away. I'm going to show you a little bit of my track Shark Tank. Obviously on this series, I not only show you the plugin, but I also show you how I've personally used it in one of my tracks. So this is a song I made basically to simulate the Shark Tank theme song. Great show, by the way, great show. So it's basically like a rock heavy dubstep track. So I use this one, it fit perfectly with the song. So I'll show you a little bit of the drop, heavy bass drop, and then I'll jump to this plugin. So it sounds like this. So you get the idea. So kind of like a heavy bass, you know, remix almost of the principal Shark Tank theme song. Now, jump into it right here. You can kind of see the melody. Now, I'm going to play it. I'm going to shut up and play it. Because I feel like, especially on this series, a lot of times people are like, hey, Mark, how does it sound? That's all I really care about. How does it sound? So I'm going to solo this, and you can hear it up. Now we're going to jump to the high register. Right, so the main theme from kind of Shark Tank. And as you can hear, it is unbelievable. So playing with my keyboard now. Right, so just kind of messing around also on the keyboard a little bit. The quality of that sound is phenomenal. Now, jumping to the plugin. First off, what's really cool is the GUI of the graphical user interface, basically, of the plugin, which is basically the way, not only how it looks, but how it interacts with when you're, you know, playing it and whatnot. So if I play, you notice that not only does the string vibrate, which is just a cool feature, but it actually shows you where on the guitar, right, if I just kind of, if I do a chord, you see exactly. And not only does it have that, but in case you weren't noticing, down here, I know there's a lot to handle on this plugin. You have the keyboard too. So that's an awesome feature right there. Now, in addition, you have a bunch of different settings right here that just make it a lot better, right? You have some stereo width there. Or basically, what do they call it? The doubling width or whatever. In this case, for this particular song, I didn't want that. I didn't want it to be too wide, at least for this part. But obviously, adding some width sounds great. You can adjust width here and some pan. You have basically all these different settings that you can adjust. And you also have this right here, which I really, really like. The one thing I really, really like is how you can completely hear, in addition to all these features, the sliding of the guitar. And I think this is a big thing. And I've talked about this in other videos on this series, where there's really two sounds you get when playing an instrument, especially for it to be authentic. First is the sound of the note, right? The sound of that note. The second thing is to hear the sound of the actual instrument being played, right? So if I play, you can almost hear the sliding of the guitar, like, right? You can have that kind of squeaky noise almost of the sliding while you're playing it. And that just creates such a unique amazing, true, authentic sound that you really want, especially for your track, right? And obviously, in addition to all that, you have so many different things here, right? I'll just play this again. Hold the pedal to add some sustain. Right, was it used for high? So I'm not a guitar player, I want to stress that. So I think I'd probably understand this a lot better if I was. But you have so many things here. Right, so it kind of almost cuts off. Seems like it turns the release a lot down. Right. Right, so a lot of different elements now. Now, going on to the next section, because that's not it, right? Going to the next section of this plugin, you have the Strummer. This is it's a way more complicated than I thought it would be, especially when I first started using it. And the idea is you can create that authentic strumming sound. If you think of like sitting by a campfire, somebody busts out the acoustic guitar, because there's always one of them, and then they start strumming along to some song. This kind of is what reminds it, and there's a lot of different features here, way more than I probably go into on this video, especially on these videos. I kind of want to give you the scope of the synth or the plugin or whatever I'm featuring, but a lot of these plugins, especially like this one, can have some super in-depth, like this right here could be an hour-long YouTube video, in my opinion, of all these different features. You know, so again, I kind of want to just scratch the surface here, but if I play along, for example, and I just kind of switch some patterns. Right, now you have all these different chords here, too. Right. Right, so I'm just kind of showing an example, but as you can adjust the chords here, which is awesome, and I'm pretty sure you can even adjust them right in here too. I know what's going on there. I know that's a weird glitch, but that's the squeaky noise I was talking about. I don't know what was going on there. Anyway, but that's the squeaky noise I was talking about too earlier that kind of adds a more humanized feel to it. But also you can adjust all the chords here, and you can adjust here. And as you can see here, these are all the different sequences you can build within the Strummer. So like if I want to go like here, I'll do this instead. Right, I'm going to delete this. I can do like this, and it'll go. Oh, come on. So I know that, so there's that, just holds it. So, oh, it's playing from here. Right. But anyway, so that's basically how this Strummer works. Now, another thing too, as you can see here, you have the pick. I just think that's a really cool feature. Now, moving along, now we got the tab section. Now, like I said, I'm not a guitar player, so I feel like this would probably make a lot more sense if I was. But obviously, you can build tabs right in here, you know, so I'm just playing this. Do I have to go back? Has a little bit of like a Celtic feel, I feel like, this kind of sample. Right, so now, how do we start? So obviously, this is something I don't know that much about, being transparent, but if you're a guitar player and you understand tabs a lot more in depth, you could just type in your own tabs and just have a plugin go. Now, in addition to all this, you then have your effects. You have your compressor, overdrive, 5-band EQ, chorus, phaser, delay, and reverb, and obviously your wah pedal. Now, overall, when it comes to anything within a plugin, I'm always very, very honest that very, very rarely will these be as good or better, very, very rarely, than the stock ones in your DAW. So, for example, I would never use a compressor, overdrive, or anything like that here. I'd always go to Ableton and, you know, use theirs instead, or a separate plugin, especially like, say, FabBand EQ. I'd rather use like the FabFilter Pro Q2. So these are kind of more, I mean, if you don't have any plugins, like say on your DAW, like say it's really empty, then hey, these are great to have right here. But I always suggest these are never as good as a plugin just made for reverb or just made for a delay or whatever. You know, but if you want to use them for something real quick, like say you just want a quick delay on it, it's not gonna be anything fancy, why not, you know? And then lastly, you can edit. I don't really touch this a lot, to be honest. If you just want to change some of the pitches and whatnot. And then lastly, we have some settings. This, again, is more if you want to go super, super in-depth. A lot of this, to be honest, when I usually do it, I don't change it too much just because I like the original sound of this VST, and I'm all set with it. But overall, that is basically the entire thing right there. Oh, let me make settings go away. That is basically the entire plugin right there. It is an unbelievable plugin. That's why I'm giving it the 5+ out of 5. One of the few plugins I truly do, but as you can see, the amount of features that it has, unreal. And this is just the quality of the sound, the quality of the GUI, the quality of everything this plugin, it makes it top notch.